It was just that back then he was sitting in a wheelchair. Now that the man in front of her stood up, she could not associate the two of them together. She lowered her eyes, as engrossed in her thoughts. When she looked up, she just happened to see that man walking with one hand in his pocket, leaving in another direction with a cold face. He walked to the direction of her. Jenny was stunned by the sight of the car. When she saw the man's appearance, she felt the cold water pour down from her head and didn't move at all. He passed by her as if he didn't saw her at all. Those girls came being embarrassed and saw Jenny's reaction. Your eyes are about to fall off. You clearly like it to death, but you still refuse to admit it. Women made her came to her senses and stared at the women. Jenny's reaction was more terrifying than the woman's who just got rejected by the man. She only knew that the man who walked over just now was clearly the same as the person 5 years ago. He also looked like same. Ro Woon looked exactly the same. How could it be? Jenny seems unable to understand. How could Jungkook suddenly appeared here for no reason? Did she think too much about Ro Woon's face that looked like Jungkook's every day? That was why she thought the man in front of her looked like her former boss. She didn't care about the girl's words but asked in disbelief, did someone walk over just now? Is that right? Girls chuckled in disdain on her and looked at her like idiots. She had the nerve to ask if someone walked over there. Are not you staring at him? He just walked by your side. Jenny blankly stared, not believing. Did she really saw Jungkook? Why he's here? What was his purpose? Did he know about your arrival? Few girls complained and went away, but Jenny stood there for long before she realized what was going on. She looked at the direction where Jungkook went. She didn't saw him anymore. She didn't mistaken, nor was she hallucinating. She had indeed saw him from close. It was truly a strange and even terrifying thing. You are holding Rowoon, as little fellow have a habit of holding you tightly whenever he went to sleep, as if he was afraid that you would suddenly disappear. You stroked his head and leaned against the behind seat to rest. You didn't know how long it will take to fix the situation. Your phone vibrated. You took out and saw the message from your brother. Where are you? You became little angry seeing his message. Thanks to you, we are now trapped on the highway. Brother, what's going on? Through the words, you could almost see that he was frowning while holding his phone. It was really too much of an image. You sensed that he will call you anytime soon, so you hurriedly replied. Rowoon was asleep. Brother, how did you know I was going to make a call? That's it. You sense it right. Or else, could I be your sister? A car exploded in front and the police were working on it. It has been a long time. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I will pick you up right away. You almost can guess that. He stood, ready to go out. Don't come to pick up, we will leave in a while. You felt helpless because you didn't get reply from other party. Jenny came back with her pale face. When she got into the car, cold air came along. You bent forward to block the cold air for your son. You are back, you softly asked. She was quite frightened, then blankly nodded, being stunned for a second. What's wrong? You were stunned after noticing her expression. Her voice was little loud as Rowoon was sleeping, so she covered her mouth and shook her head. No, you feel something was not right as you saw her dodging eyes and raised your eyebrow. Your face is pale and you still say nothing. She didn't want to say anything, but you insisting. She have no other choice. Actually, my stomach hurts and I want to go to washroom, but there is no toilet here so I can only endure. That's why my face is like this. Jenny forced a smile. In order to hide her emotions, she actually embarrassed herself. Fortunately, the Prince Charming wasn't in the car, otherwise she would definitely not able to say these words. You didn't know what to say, but after a moment you looked at her. Can you still endure it? She nodded. You felt silent. I think you should not cook in the future. Why? After tonight's conversation, I can't look you in the eye anymore. She was speechless and felt awkward. After 15 minutes later, received a notice that car could move forward. So all cars started to move one by one. Jenny leaned against the window to look at the surrounding cars, afraid that Jungkook's car will run over past yours. She was worried as the way of soul still take 3 hours. She was really afraid of bringing your grief. That's why she didn't dare to say it in front of you. You were concerned looking at her pale face. She felt that what she just said just now was making a fool at herself in front of you. Looking at your concerned expression, she felt that she shouldn't said that, but she didn't stop playing dumb anyway. Jenny leaned back and closed her eyes for a while. You didn't say anything. The road was crowded at first, but soon became clear and car drove very fast in the night. You were tired, so you held Rowoon safely in your arms. Go to sleep. I just slept and I'm not sleepy now. I will just watch besides Uncle Han is here. You felt relief and sleep there. Very soon your breathing became even. Jenny turned her head to look at your sleeping face. Her expression changed a little. I hope we don't bump into that guy. Otherwise, she really didn't know what to do. Perhaps you are the person who was the most helpless. After all, you are the one who has hurt deeply, but at the same time, he was also the person you had loved deeply. You and Rowoon sleep holding each other. Jenny keeps staring at outside worriedly. Originally, she could sleep like a pig, but today she was energetic and worried as she kept checking on cars, but she didn't see the car from before. She didn't know if car already pressed or behind. She is still worried because it's still highway and there was lights coming and road was clear. The street lights flashed past the windows one after another. She saw many local cars passing by. Then the car entered Seoul City entrance. She sighed of a relief as it would be difficult to recognize with so many cars. Perhaps he had already changed the way. She leaned back on the seat and sank down exhausted. She stared at the way for hours, so she was tired. Uncle Han, please call me when you arrive. I want to sleep for a while. Uncle Han gently nodded, then Jenny take a rest. Your phone vibrated as you receive a call. You didn't react. It was Rowoon who felt it first. He slowly pulled your sleeve to wake you up. You opened your eyes and looked at him sleepily. Mummy, your phone is vibrating. He reminded. You take out the phone just to see Sokjin on the caller ID. Your uncle's phone. Pick it up. You give him phone as you're sleepy. Rowoon talked close to you. That brother of yours is ready. He just came to pick up in the middle of night. You sighed and informed Uncle Han to stop on the intersection. Soon you saw Sokjin's car. He was standing outside the car, not far away and looking over. It's Uncle. Rowoon called out. You are still sleepy? Mummy, should we wake Aunt Nini up? You shook your head and let her rest. Then you got out of the car with Rowoon and walked towards Sokjin and looked at him helplessly. Brother, you really are. Didn't I say it was okay? You still rushed out in the middle of the night. He looked at you from head to toe, making sure that you are not hurt, then said in a deep voice, I'm worried. Didn't you think that I text you? If something happened to me, will I still be able to send you a message safely? I didn't think about it that much. It's good that nothing happened. Let's go. Uncle, give me a hug. Rovun waited for two of you to finish conversation and stretched out his arms. Sokjin patted his head lovingly and carried him into his arms. Are you tired? I'm not tired, Uncle. It's just that Uncle has worked hard. Rovun hugged Sokjin's neck. It's my fault. I shouldn't be too impatient to let you guys encounter such a thing. You sighed. Sokjin get into the car with Rovun as you informed Uncle Han to follow behind. As Jenny was still sleeping soundly, you went back to your brother's car. A car passed by in the corridor. As you about to get into the car, you heard loud sound of car crashing. The man who was driving car all the way had a cold expression as he looked straight ahead but suddenly seemed to be attracted by something, so he turned in the wrong direction. The woman's delicate and beautiful face disappeared in a flash, but he was stunned as his mind pulled him to nine clouds, and he took a wrong way. He narrowed his eyes and turned the steering wheel quickly, but unluckily his car hit. You had just gotten into the car, so you and Sokjin turned to look at the source of the sound and saw a car crash into the guardrail. Your pupils shrank as your eyelids fiercely jumped a few times. You suddenly had a feeling of uneasy. You stretched out your hand to press your eyelids. Why are there so many accidents tonight? Sokjin looked at coldly the direction. It was the owner of the car who was careless. These people were too careless when driving. Let's go first. You also felt uncomfortable looking at the scene. Rovun reached and hugged you. Don't be afraid, mommy. I will protect you. You felt warm and kissed his temple, but couldn't help looking at the direction of the accident. The car that hit the guardrail didn't know what was going on, as the owner of the car didn't move for a long time. You didn't know how the person inside was. Some of people came to help there. You looked away and pinched your brow. People should be careful on the way while driving. It was unfamiliar for you as you looked at the surrounding of Kim family's mansion. You had came here before, but after acknowledge your ancestors and returned to the sect as Kim Sarang, you had not come back here. In these 5 years, it was the first time that you come back to this place. There was actually memories at the time your surname wasn't Kim and you wasn't the first miss of the Kim family. You got out of the car. Jenny was sound sleeping. When you went to wake her up, she didn't even move. Seems like she was having dream. So Sokjin said that he will look after Jenny as you need to rest. It was 4 in the morning, so you carried Rovun and went to rest. Sokjin wanted to wake her up, but didn't know how to. He looked around, but think that Uncle Han will not be able to carry Jenny as he's already aged. So for your sake, he carried Jenny upstairs to one of the guest room. Jenny was having beautiful dream of her Prince Charming when Sokjin trying to put her on the bed. She reached out to wrap her hands around his neck, but felt something was wrong as she slowly opened her eyes just to see her Prince Charming in front of her eyes. She blinked her eyes, but Sokjin's front expression made her heart shatter. As she thought that she was in the dream, she suddenly let her hands go. Kim, Mr. Kim, I was asleep. I don't know what I was doing. He nodded without any emotion. Have a good rest. He coldly said. She is his sister's assistant and good friend, otherwise he would have thrown her out. After he left, Jenny became restless. How will she face her Prince Charming in the future? She was angered by that. Kim Wyan, why didn't you wake me up? She was so mad as she messaged you accusing evil deeds. You, why didn't you wake me up? Do you know what I have lost a lot of face? You arrange Rowoon and take a shower, then saw a WeChat message from Jenny accusing you, so you also savagely send the message as she should thanks to you giving her chance with her Prince Charming. You both argue on the WeChat for a while. At the end, Jenny sleep angrily. The next day, after your arrival, the Kim family seemed to have become lively as maids gathered together, waiting for you to wake up. I hear that our young lady came last night and brought little young master back. I really want to meet him. 5 years later, they will gonna see the real young miss of the Kim family in person, and the Rowoon's pictures are all over the house when he was little. They just heard about your temperament being the similar with Sokjin, so they are excited to see you. Yuri was kicked out of the Kim family 5 years ago, and no one know where she was now. Maids are relieved as Yuri always bossing around them. They didn't know how you will treat them, but they are more excited to see Rowoon, as Sokjin used to talk about him a lot. You slept until almost noon. When you wake up, you found Rowoon wasn't there. You were stunned for a moment, but then felt relieved as a Skim family. He should have gone downstairs, so you were not hurry. After washing up, you ready to go downstairs when you saw a small figure downstairs was surrounded. You don't know what they are talking, but your son was. Very popular, it was the same whenever he went and you are used it. Just as you were about to walk down, a soft voice came from behind. Sarang, Sarang. You turned to look at women hiding in a corner, looking nervously. She signaled you to go over and you walked towards her. What's wrong? Why are you hiding here? Are you a thief? Her face was full of grievance. It's all because of you. She still accused you for last night. She's afraid that she will encounter with Sokjin downstairs. So after confirming he was not around, she walked behind you. What's happened last night? Why are you so embarrassed? Did you do something to my brother? She widened her eyes and shook her head. No matter what's wrong, you have to help her. So she followed you downstairs, but in the halfway down the stairs, she saw Sokjin coming. He didn't notice, but Jenny's expression changed. Before you know, she already left your side. When you turned around, you found Jenny was no longer behind you. How could she run so fast? Brother, what happened last night? You couldn't help asking when you saw him. What happened? You were speechless. Jenny saw Sokjin and ran like mouse, seeing a cat, but there was not a single ripple on Sokjin's face. So what exactly happened? You didn't ask that anymore and went to eat breakfast together. The maids finally got to see you, but at that time they had been conquered by Rowoon's clever and cute wit. As they keep talking, after a while Rowoon came to dining. You tidy up his clothes and asked him to call his aunt Nini for breakfast. He went, but after a while he came back little depressed because Jenny wasn't feeling well, so she can't eat together. You know that she was making excuses. So later on, you asked May to send breakfast in her room. Jeon didn't expect Jungkook to send away hospital yesterday night. She drove from Busan to Seoul overnight and straight went to the hospital. What do you think happened to you? Didn't I tell you to drive safe? She glared at him, who was laying on the bed. You actually got into an accident in the entrance of Seoul in the middle of the night. Did you not take your dog life seriously at all? He heard Jeon murmurs, but he didn't react. Instead, he lowered his eyes. Auntie is talking to you. Why don't you say anything? Little aunt, his lips finally moved. Jeon narrowed her eyes. I think I saw her. She raised her brow. Who? The room was quite expect for the sound of the ceiling fan turning. The wind blew the hair in front of Jungkook's forehead as he looked up, but his voice faded. Nothing. Maybe he was wrong. It was just a quick glance. But when he turned again, there was no sign of women. Perhaps he had already seen wrongly. Jeon saw the coldness in his eyes and thought what he just said. Is this why you got into accident? He didn't say anything. It was obvious that he had tacitly agreed. He just saw the glimpse of profile that was very similar to the one in his memory, but it quickly disappeared from his sight. However, he was stunned as if his thoughts and mind had been pulled into his memory during that time. By the time he came back to his sense, the car had already crashed into him. Fortunately, his driving skills were good, so he didn't bump into the cars, but his car had gone to hit the guardrail and slightly injured. It wasn't too serious, but not also light. After staying in the hospital for a few days, he would be able to get out of the hospital. If he had nothing to do, Jeon let out a sigh. It seems that you still remember her after so many years, but she had not seen in those years. I guess you were hallucinating. He almost laughed at himself. Illusion, maybe. Jeon didn't know what to say to comfort her nephew as he was suddenly such in a low mood. Although he had never been in a good mood in the past 5 years, he looked as if he was really trapped in love. As a senior, she couldn't keep watching him get so depressed. How about this? You can't keep going like this. After you are discharged, I will find you someone, then you can go on a blind date.